What I do, folks, it is your host, Sensei, on Popcorn and Pork Rinds YouTube channel, and I just wanted to share this. I saw someone else talking about transmogs and what they felt was the best heritage armor and so on and so forth. So I kind of want to just sit here and ramble and just go through my characters and showing, my transmogs. Obviously, right now I have Sensei. Sensei is an undead warrior, and he is fairly new, but I leveled him to 90 and I just got his heritage armor, and I went with that sword. Okay. Next would be Sepultura. As you see, he does have Thunder Fury. I did not get Thunder Fury on this character, but I will go down the list and then give a story time on how and why things look the way that they do. So with Sepultura, I named it after the band Sepultura. I had to spell it this way because the other name wasn't available. I played Retribution with this paladin since day one. I remember when the Burning Crusade was coming out, I wanted to play a paladin. I saw that my ex-wife well, she's an ex-wife now, but one day I came home from work early and I saw that she was playing her undead warrior, and she was in South Shore, and they were raiding South Shore. This is in vanilla. And she was fighting what looked like a warrior, which happened to be a dwarf. And I said, how is that warrior healing itself? Oh, that's a paladin. What do you mean, paladin? Mind you, I'm going to scroll down. I made a warrior named Warnus, but I'll get to that in a bit. Back to Sepultura. So I'm watching this happen, and she logs off of the game, and I instantly go to the Horde side because I only wanted to play Horde, and I'm looking for a paladin. Horde did not have paladins at the time. So I decided to just go ahead and play her warrior when she was at work, because we had shifts that pretty much she worked at night, I worked in the daytime. So she's playing her warrior when she had the opportunity, and then I would come on and I would play it, go do battlegrounds and so on and so forth. And then Burning Crusade came out and I created Sepultura. Next would be Amara. That's my daughter's name. I made this mage just for S and giggles, and I got the heritage armor for this character. I'm sorry, I'm having a slight brain malfunction. This is the Nightborn. That's right, Nightborn, which is a allied race. Talia. So Talia is the warrior that my ex-wife created. It used to be named Akira, created during vanilla. First character she ever created. Used to go raids, and of course Gorehowl dropped for her when we were doing Karazhan. So I've had it. We had 2 accounts, and once we split, I moved the warrior from her account to mine, and that account does not it hasn't been touched in a very long time, right? But this armor was Battlegrounds armor that she ended up getting because we did a lot of raiding, we did a lot of battlegrounds with this warrior. We were alternating, as I had mentioned. And this, to me, was the best armor for her character paired with Gorehowl. Lazarus. So as you see, Lazarus has the Warglaives of Azeroth. So, story time about the Warglaives. Obviously, Burning Temple is where they dropped. And when it was current, didn't really have the opportunity to go and raid there. We did it, maybe a few times, didn't get really past the first boss. But at one point in time, I went back on a character. Matter of fact, I'll scroll down and show you. Where is she at? Arwen. I was going to Black Temple and soloing Black Temple to get the drops. Obviously, I got the drops, right? So let's go back to Lazarus. So, Burning Crusade Time Walking came out, and you could go in and get the skin for your Demon Hunter for the Warglaives of Azeroth. So then at that point in time, I did about 20 plus runs in order to clear Black Temple on Time Walking. And I don't know, some people might have found Time Walking for Black Temple to be easy. The groups, or the random groups that I was in, struggled. That's why we had to do it so many times, but I completed it, and it was fun. I did find it difficult. Hattori Hanzo. At one point in time, I said, how cool would it be to make a rogue based off of Hattori Hanzo. If you know, you know, go Google it. I'll probably put it on the screen. A little bit of history of who Hattori Hanzo is. But pretty much these blades drop from Black Temple. Also used it for Transmog. And this is partially what? Tier, I'll just put it on the screen. And his Transmog probably will change at one point in time, but yeah, I think he looks pretty cool. Lalandra. Lalandra, I actually named this allied race, which is the, Light Forge Draenei? Named it after Lalandra from X-Men. And as you see, she has the corrupted Ashbringer. This skin, to get this, I did it on Sepultura. It took a very long time. And there was this app, or add-on, that you could use to hop between other realms in order to have drop rates and everything else a better chance, because you had to, go and kill and fish and all this other stuff. So I was hopping around all over the place. This took me quite a time to get that skin for the corrupted Ashbringer. But it's one of my favorite weapons in the game, obviously. And that's why, and plus I have her heritage armor, as you see. All these levels have been squished, and I haven't touched these characters in a very long time, and that's why they're very low, but yeah. Next up is Doc Samson. Doc Samson used to not look like this. Doc Samson looked like one of the guards from this city, the Alliance City. He used to look like one of the guards. I got that from, I do believe, the garrisons, where you go in and you're doing quests and all this other good stuff, and then you get, and I'll put it on the screen, of what he used to look like with that armor. But right now I just switched it to this. I thought it was kind of cool, kind of pompous, with his little cleave. Chun-Li. Chun-Li has been touched a long time. I used to do arenas with this other guy, and he was a monk, and oh my god, he used to solo people by himself, and I was like, I have to make a monk. And of course I went with Chun-Li. Hopefully nobody finds that offensive, but I felt that Chun-Li would have been appropriate for a monk. I don't know why, but then again, I'm into Street Fighter, I'm into all of that, and plus, Pandarns. Pandarns, I think, are pretty cool. Warness. Okay, here we go. So when I first started playing World of Warcraft back in 2005, mind you, World of Warcraft came out at the end of 2004. So I get World of Warcraft in 2005. I create an undead warrior named Warness. Kind of dumb. Warness, warrior, Warness, I don't know, anus. And I created it. And then we go back to my wife. She's leveling. I'm like, how did you get to that level? Because I was stuck in Silverpine Forest killing boars. Yeah, if you remember the episode of South Park, Make Love, Not Warcraft. That was kind of me. Stuck out there, I didn't know anything about guilds. I didn't know nothing about nothing. And I come in one day, she's playing, she's a higher level, and I was asking questions. But Warness was the first character that I ever created. And I didn't do anything with it because I actually deleted it. And then when Burning Crusade came out, I created Sepultura. So this guy right here was me revisiting what I first created. And of course, he's wearing the armor that is leveling. He hasn't been really touched. He is the guild master of the guild that my ex-wife created called Malorn's Elite. And that's why he hasn't been deleted again, because he is the guild holder, but there's nobody in the guild. It's not functional and all that other good stuff. Now, in comes Arwen. Arwen didn't really look like this. She actually had the Defiler set. If you know, you know. I'll probably put it on the screen also, but the Defiler set, she had the Defiler set and swords, and she was combat. And I did a lot on this road. I went Alliance after the point of not playing with anybody from a guild or friends or anything like that. And I was soloing. And yeah, she's the one that I would take into Black Temple and solo and all that other good stuff. So the drops for the Warglaives actually dropped for her. And yeah, it took me a long time to get both, but ended up doing it. Arwen. Well, you already know what the name is from. Yes, Lord of the Rings. And that is it for this. Now, look at some gameplay. The next up is going to be me getting the heritage armor for my undead warrior, and then it will just be gameplay, random gameplay with some music playing. But thank you for tuning in, and thank you for checking out my transmogs for my characters on World of Warcraft. Take care and be well.
my blade stay sharp. You not only helped us reclaim our home after the plague, but you defended it when it was under threat. You represent what it means to be forsaken, to take care of our own with our unique ingredients.
Our strength.
Our determination.
Our cunning.
Our hope.
And together, we will endure as the Forsaken. I live my life in the shadows. What is it you ask?
Keep your guard up.
I live my life in the shadows.
Let's talk.
Mistress, I am here as summoned. Nothing?
Never nothing, mortal. The void closes its jaws around the throat of your world. You cannot hope to be worthy of its hunger.
I am! My followers and I have sown chaos and mistrust between the Sunwell's defenders. As we were bidden!
Mere child's play, elf. The real work commences over the mountains.
And within the void itself.
In case any of you have forgotten, you wretches speak of your works and worth, scrabbling for the mistress's favor, forgetting all the while that in the end,
all will be devoured. The forces of the void are gathering from across the cosmos, eager to feed upon this world. Soon, the true invasion will begin, and the mortals will never see it coming. Make ready.
Mistress, do not forsake me.
You did well, my faithful servant. But alas, I have no further use for you.
But I...
Give my regards to Azeroth's champions.
Infiltrators, to arms!